From Studio K at Foxboro Cable Access.
Saffron is essentially the stamen of a rose.
Feeling creative?
Sage has a great flavor.
Is your palate needing a new challenge? Well, let's cook with Mike Damasio.
Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of Let's Cook with Mike Damasio. I'm your host, Mike Damasio. Today's a great show for me personally because I'm going to be creating my go-to meal at an Italian restaurant. You know, you go to these Italian restaurants, the menus are always very similar. And, you know, the chicken parm, the veal parm, spaghetti and meatballs. Well, my go-to dish at an Italian restaurant when nothing else just pops off the page is the carbonara. Whether it be chicken, veal, shrimp, I always go to the carbonara. I think it just has a great mix. It's a very rich dish. It's a prosciutto and cream with egg yolk sauce, and you can add any vegetables you want in. It's traditionally just the prosciutto and the peas, some shallots and garlic, and it's just delicious altogether. I do a few little adjustments to it when I make it for myself at home to make it more appealing to me, and that's the beauty of cooking. You get to adjust things to the way you like them. So let's go over some of our ingredients today. For the sauce, very simple. We have some heavy whipping cream, the grated cheese. You're basically making an Alfredo sauce, more or less, and then you're going to be spicing it up with some shallots and garlic, some fresh prosciutto. I get it cut a little extra thick because you want it more a little bit like the bacon width for this dish. And I use some fresh sage as well as salt and pepper, of course. But I like to put some sage in there. It's my favorite herb. I think it just adds a nice flavor to the dish in the end, and it goes well with chicken. I'm going to be using chicken thighs today. I like chicken thighs much better than the breast. I think the breast just doesn't have as much flavor. The thigh, being the dark meat, has more fat, as you can see on these. I'm going to be slicing them up into nice little julienne strips. And you'll see what I do here with the eggs. I will be using egg yolk to finish off the dish, and I'm not going to let that egg white, that beautiful egg white, go to waste. We're going to end up dredging it with the chicken, so when we saute the chicken, it's going to have a little coating of egg white on it. I'm going to be using fusilli pasta today. It's the curly pasta. Now, a lot of times in the restaurants, you'll get this dish with spaghetti or penne. I just think the curls in the fusilli, it just holds the sauce better, so you're getting more of the sauce with the pasta. Well, after all that talking, I'm ready to cook. So the first thing I have to do, which is as we do everything time, because we always want to get everything out at the same time at the end, is the pasta. So before the show, I cheated a little bit and got the water going, boiling to add our pasta. So we have a nice little roll and boil right here. I'm just going to add that pasta. That'll be about 9 minutes. We're just going to let that sit. Every once in a while, I'll give it a little stir to keep the pasta from sticking at the bottom of the pan. All right. Some people add water. Some people add oil. You just need some people add salt and oil. All you need is hot water to keep the pasta from sticking to each other, and it's great. And I'm going to bring the heat down just a little bit so it's a lower roll. All right, the next thing we're going to do is start off with our sauce. So as I mentioned, I like using shallots and fresh garlic as the base to this dish. We're also going to use olive oil to get it in the pan going. Just about a tablespoon. Again, by the end of this dinner, we'll have a dinner for 4 people here. And again, all this product that I purchased today didn't even come to $30. So you're getting a great meal that you probably pay $15, $18 at a restaurant. Here, feed your whole family for under $30. All right, we're going to start with the shallot here. Shallot is kind of a hybrid of garlic and onion. It's a little sweeter than a typical yellow onion, which is why I like it in the dish. The dish is rich with the cream and cheese, so might as well just keep it nice and sweet. I'm going to do these in little strips here. Again, I like the texture. You can dice it up even smaller, but I like the strips. And I'm going to, so I can feel that crunch when I'm into the sauce here. Set that aside. Get a little piece of garlic here. Bring down my water a little more. Cleaning garlic Some people have a problem with it. It's really not a bad, as long as you get the edges, the ends off of each end of the garlic, the layer of skin will come off fairly easy. And if you have to, you could just make a little slit with your knife and it all just falls right off. Very easy. I'm going to cut these into little julienne strips and then dice them. But I am going to keep them, you'll see, on a little bit of the larger side. Again, I just think, you don't want to lose the flavor of the garlic, and also you don't want it to cook up too fast in the pan. So I'm going to do just kind of a rough chop to finish it up. Alright, so I'm going to start off with my scallions and the garlic, nice and rough chop, some nice big pieces, get all the flavor out of that. Alright, next step, I'm going to take this beautiful prosciutto. I have 3 pieces here. It's probably just a few ounces of meat. I'm just going to cut these into fingernail size dices. Again, you want to get the flavor. You don't want it to be overwhelming. It is a salty meat. As you'll see in the end here, I'll be adding very little salt, if any, once I taste the sauce as we come near completion, because this stuff is salty. Add that right in. Reserve a little bit because I'm going to pick on it throughout the show. One of my favorites. All right, so we're going to let this stuff cook up a little bit. You can see the garlic and the onions starting to brown up a little bit. That's perfect. You don't have to worry about the prosciutto cooking because we're going to cook that right in with the sauce. So through the whole time, all that flavor is going to go right into the sauce. You don't want to lose it all in the sautéing process. So I'm going to take some heavy cream now and get that in the pan. I think we have 5 or 6 people here today, so I got to make sure I make enough sauce for everybody. So once again, that's just we're going to get that to a slow roll. Very easy. With our great induction cooker here, we always seem to get a nice quick boil out of our sauces. Now, I'm not going to add any thickeners to this sauce. I may end up adding more heavy cream. I may add some cheese once we get the cheese going, a little extra cheese to keep it thickened. Some people will add a roux to this dish. I think that ruins it, although it's commonly used in this dish. But if you cook the cream heavy enough and with the right amount of grated cheese, the sauce will thicken on its own. You won't need any additive to that. So as it starts to roll here, I'm just going to start to incorporate some of the cheese. Now, I'm not going to add it all at once. I'm going to do a little at a time so that it'll keep on dissolving into the heavy cream without giving us lumps, so it'll stay smooth. We want to get a nice smooth sauce out of this. Okay, keep on adding this. Now, I like my Alfredo's cheesy, so it's a great flavor. All the flavors of the shallots, the garlic, picked it up from the pan. The heavy cream kind of deglazed the pan a little bit, took the flavors right off from sticking on the pan right in. I'm gonna add a little bit of pepper here. Very nice. Very good. Now I have some other vegetables here that I like to add to my sauces, to my carbonara sauce. I have peas. These are frozen peas. This is a great time of year for frozen vegetables. You go to the produce market and the prices for vegetables are crazy because it's not in season. Frozen vegetables are a great substitute this time of year. They take some of the highest quality vegetables and during the high season and freeze them. And they, for this time of year, and they're much less expensive, and they're a great product. So I highly recommend frozen vegetables in the heart of the winter. Save yourself some money because the vegetables at this time of year can get outrageous. But I have fresh mushrooms and fresh grape tomatoes. So the grape tomatoes we're going to add right towards the end. We don't need to cook them very much. The peas and the mushrooms, we're going to add those right now to let them cook into the sauce. As I keep it on a low boil here, I think I'm going to add a little bit more cream. It's thickening up nicely, as you can see. we're going to have a great sauce here. Again, this is not for those on a diet. I try to fool myself and say I'm dieting, but this being my go-to, it's tough to say I'm dieting. All right, so we're going to let that start to roll a little bit, and we will, once it starts to roll, we'll add some of the peas and mushrooms. Right now I'm going to separate our eggs. All right, we're going to use these yolks at the end, again, add a little more richness to the sauce. And it's just a traditional way of doing it that I was taught back in the day. And if you look it up any recipe, a traditional carbonara recipe will always have the egg yolk. So separating the egg very, very easily. I am going to keep the egg whites as I mentioned, but a lot of people like to crack eggs on corners. Best place to crack an egg is on a flat surface. All right, and we're just going to separate it. Pour it back into the shell. I'm going to start to get rid of my shell, and I'm going to start to use my hands. Let the egg yolk run right through your fingers, and like a scissors, just cut it off, and you have a great little egg yolk right there. Again, on the flat surface. Get your fingers in there. Picked up some foreign object. Let the egg yolk run through your fingers. Very nice. And again, we're going to set aside the egg white, and we're going to set aside the egg yolk. I'm going to change my glove, because I just use a raw egg product. I want to try to limit any kind of cross-contamination. Very good. And I have some more gloves in my drawer here. All right. So as you can see, the sauce has picked up a little bit again, thickening and rolling to a boil. I'm going to bring the heat down once again. Let's give a check on our pasta, see how we're doing. All right. I notice when I lift the pan up, I don't just drag it away. Sometimes there can be some hot water from the steam. This is a great lid because it has a release. A lot of pans don't have that. More of them should. So with this pan, I didn't get any water being stuck in the rim of the pan. And when you pull it off, sometimes that hot water can splash on you or a person standing beside you or an animal beneath you, if you got any cats or dogs that hang out with you all the time. But there you go. That still has a ways to go. Pull one out so we can show you where we're at here. So right now it's still kind of hard to touch. It is starting to fall apart. I say we got about 4 or 5 more minutes with that. All right. Okay, so we have our sauce going here. We have the pasta beside us, almost ready to go. All right. Next thing we're going to do is slice our vegetables for the remainder of the sauce to finish off the sauce. Let me get my gloves back on here. Last thing we're going to do is work with the chicken. We're going to saute it up and add it to the dish at the end. All right. So with the mushrooms, again, I like tasting my vegetables. A lot of people, you might get a thin slice like this into this dish. You'll eventually lose it. It'll either fall apart or you won't get it. I'm going to go with some nice chunks so that you'll be able to bite into it. These are baby portobellos. A lot of flavor. Not as much as the big portobellos, but they do pack a nice punch of flavor with them, and they're delicious. Again, another go-to vegetable that I love. All right, we'll keep those aside. Put these right in here until that sauce starts to roll a little bit. So you can see it's nice and thick. Let me get a spoon here. I can show you just how thick it is. Yeah, I'll use this one. So, you know, from heavy cream and cheese, it is a nice thick consistency. All right, it's not just falling out of there. It's pretty dense. Okay. All right, we're at a good point here where we can now start to work with the chicken. I'll clean up my little bit of a mess here. Clean as you go, unless you have somebody that's willing to clean up after you. All right. Okay. So the chicken, again, I'm going to cut this in nice thin strips. Okay. So again, the thigh here has a lot of fat. We're going to try to trim off just a little bit of that fat. We do want to leave a little bit for flavor, but But we want to take the big chunks out. Nobody wants to get a big chunk of fat in their plate. All right, so we're pretty clean here. Everything's nice. This is a nice thigh. And I'm just going to cut the width of it, nice strips. Again, sometimes you go to restaurants, you get these big chunks of breast, or you get these cubes. And I'm not one to want to cut when I eat. I like to, with salads, sometimes you get the big leaves of lettuce in your salad when you go out to eat. I like to make them bite-sized so that one bite, shouldn't have to work much with a salad. And I think it should be the same with a meal. Everything should be ready unless you have a nice big steak. But if you're having a sauté dish like this, everything should be ready just to be put into your mouth and eaten without much work of a knife. Once our pasta is done here, we will use that burner to cook the chicken. Okay. Let's see how we're doing here. Looking much better. Very nice. I'm going to take one of these. Now comes the bite test. I'm going to take my chicken hand glove off. Got about 2 minutes. I'm going to rev up the engine there. Get that going. Our sauce is going great. It's reducing on its own just a little bit. I'm going to add a little more heavy cream here. I want to stretch it out. Got to feed everybody. Don't want to miss anybody. So again, I'm going to bring this back to a boil so it can start to thicken on its own again. Okay, so I just drained the water out of the pasta, and I'm going to set this aside for now so I can use this other burner to start with my chicken. Okay. So I just julienne the chicken up, and again I said I had this, I'm keeping the egg yolk. I'm not going to let anything go to waste. Checking on my sauce here. It's had a nice rolling boil. The next time I feel it needs to be thinned out, I'm not going to use any more heavy cream. I'm going to go right to chicken broth. You can use chicken broth, vegetable broth, straight water. Even a little bit of white wine doesn't hurt. Okay, so that sauce is looking great. I'm going to cheat here. Oof, delicious. And that sauce will not need any more salt. The prosciutto really brought it out. So I'm just going to whisk up the egg whites here. I'm going to get my pan ready over here for sauteing my chicken. So I'm going to use this egg white, and you'll see what it's going to do to the chicken. It's just going to give it a little bit of a coating, and it's a healthy coating. It's not flour. You're not using breadcrumbs. It's just going to be an egg white coating, and we'll try to get a little bit of a crisp on the chicken. Again, texture with the meal, right? Everything's going to be a little mushy. You got the pasta, the sauce, mushy. You want to kind of offset that with a little bit of a crunch in the chicken. So that should be enough of a little bit. I'm just going to put the chicken right in here. Just mix it up. It's not an even coating. It's nothing like that. We're just going to make sure it's all a little bit covered. So when we saute it up, again, you'll see it get a little bit crispy. It'll get a little color on it. We're going to work it. It's going to be beautiful. All right, a little bit of oil. Cook that chicken. And what I love about the convection, it gets hot fast. That's already ready to go. Okay. One thing before I continue, as my sauce starts to come to a roll here, come on, roll. All right. So once it comes back to a roll, we're going to add the egg yolk. I'm going to leave them whole for now. Once it starts to roll, I'm going to add the egg yolk. Then I'm going to finish with the sage. But first, I've almost forgot my vegetables. We're going to start to add the peas. Don't want to overdo it, but again, there's a color pop for you. Add our mushrooms. Never have enough mushrooms. Delicious. Add all these flavors. I'm going to let this come to a little bit of a boil again, and you'll see it all thicken up. You see how loose it is right now, and it's not too loose, but it's looser than I want it. So we're going to let it boil a little bit. and you'll see it start to thicken up when we come back and check on it in a minute. All right, looks like our oil's nice and hot here. So we're just gonna put this stuff in here, very nice. Again, doesn't have to be any neat or anything. You're gonna see the egg start to cook up, as it should. Now you get all these they're all gonna stick together. All this chicken's gonna stick together here. You know, we have our handy dandy tong that are going to keep them separated. There we go. All right. All right, let it sit for a second. All right, back to our sauce. Starting to thicken up nice. Again, never enough cheese. All right, now with sauce boiling up nice, I'm going to drop in my egg yolks. I'm just going to scramble them up in there. It's going to change the color of the sauce just slightly, to a little more of an orange. All right, and then just like with the scrambled egg, it's also going to help thicken my sauce a little bit here. Now you got a nice rich color to go along with the rich flavor. And that's thickening it up really nice now, really nice. Back to our chicken. Chicken's cooking up fast. Don't worry about, you know, the brown pieces. It's just egg. It's just egg. Nothing is burning. Again, we're going for a little bit of a crisp on the chicken. You know, because we have it, and it'll add a nice little flavor to the chicken here. I'm gonna add a little bit of balsamic to this chicken. I think you're gonna get a really nice pop of flavor from this as well. And that's gonna, again, deglaze the pan, right? All the stuff that was stuck to the bottom of the pan is now gonna come up, get back into the flavor of the chicken. That chicken is cooking up nicely. Be just a few minutes for this. That's again another point of cutting the chicken nice and thin, is that it'll cook up faster for you. All right, we'll let that go. Looks like our sauce is just coming great. It's even starting to stick a little bit to the bottom of the pan. That's just the cheese. Again, this is a sauce that you need to constantly work with. You don't want to get in. Again, I'm dealing with a induction burner here that it's not too hard to deal with the heat, the changes in heat temperature. It's not as obviously as quick and easy as fire, but it's better than electric. I'll tell you that much. So I'm going to take some of this chicken stock now, just a little bit, maybe 2 tablespoons. That's just going to give a little bit of flavor. It's going to thin out the sauce just enough. Remember, we want it to grab onto those noodles. And we're going to bring that back up to a nice boil. While we're waiting, the last few finishing touches of my sauce here. First, of course, is my sage. I love the sage. Put some gloves on. Chicken's roasted nicely. So sage, I'm going to do our traditional chiffonade cut. I use it a lot on the show. I think it's a great cut for these leafy type of herbs. The bigger the leaf, the better. As you can see, I plucked out some of the most beautiful leaves I could find in the bunch of sage I bought. Get a nice big one to anchor the roll. The bigger the better on the bottom. Quick check back on the sauce and on the chicken. Everything's looking magnificent. It's not a nervous tick that I keep hitting myself. I'm releasing the tong. I just don't want to think anybody I have this compulsive disorder that I have to tick the tong before I use it. All right, this is chiffonade. It's a ribbon cut here. All right, so I got the ribbons. I don't need them that long. I'm just going to give one cut down the middle. I need them that long. All right, we're going to add our chiffonade of sage. It's probably about a tablespoon. Okay. Put the rest aside. Woo! Stuff very pungent, delicious. For the cherry tomatoes here, I am just going to take about 6 of them. I'm just going to cut them in half and toss them right in there. Okay. Ooh, splash. And maybe a few more. Again, just a color thing. A little flavor. Tomatoes are good for you. Looks like our chicken's coming great. I'm going to bring the temp on this down because our sauce is pretty much done here. Now we're just going to wait. Add a little more broth. Just because I have a few more minutes. I don't want it to get too thick. This is going to keep the consistency that I'm looking for. It's going to stick to the noodles. It's going to stick to the chicken. It's going to stick to your ribs. All those sort of good places. All right. So our chicken is cooked. Nice thin strips. See the little bit of black? That's just the egg. The pan will need to soak to get that stuff clean. Balsamic has a lot of sugar in there. Sticks to the bottom of the pan. All right, we're going to pause that. We got that. I'm ready to start plating. I'm going to clean up a little bit here. Make some room for our plates. I reserved some of our sage, and we're going to use that as a little bit of a garnish. All right. I do have butter here, okay? This is a sauce that you could add butter to. At this would be the time to do it. Add it in, make it glaze a little more, add a little more flavor, or, butter makes it better. But you know what? I'm going to reserve not to do it. I think I have a beautiful glaze. I have a beautiful consistency here with the thickness on the sauce. I mean, this is really nice. Great color. The yellow of the butter would would dull that little bit of a color there that we brought out with the egg yolks. So I'm going to let it go. So some plates. I'm going to use my clear plates here. So we have our reserve of pasta. Okay, let's get some of that on the plate here. Delicious. That looks nice. Let me do this one in the middle, one off to the side here. All right, what's next? It would be the sauce. All right, I'm going to just take some ladles of sauce, pour that right on there. Goodness in every bite. Delicious. Save some sauce. We're going to come over with the chicken. Boom, there's the hip. Pour some of that right on top. Okay, we'll have one more dish of chicken for us. Just a little bit of sauce on the chicken. A little bit of fresh sage on top. I can't wait to dig in. For some reason I never eat before I come to the show. Maybe because I know somebody's going to cook me a good meal. All right. All you need is a loaf of Italian bread with some garlic and cheese on that to accompany this delicious meal. And we have a great chicken carbonara, my style, with fusilli pasta. Doesn't get much nicer than that. The aroma is tremendous with the sage. The chicken is cooked beautifully. That touch of balsamic really adds difference. Very nice. So, again, thanks for showing up for the show. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your chicken carbonara. Give it a try. It's delicious. We'll see you next time on Let's Cook with Mike Damasio.